Let's get down to business. And joining us now, it's a pleasure to welcome Laura Bramnick from TalkRealEstateAZ.com. That's the website, TalkRealEstateAZ.com. And Laura Bramnick is an attorney specializing in real estate, also a real estate agent. Great combination. Above and beyond that, a consumer advocate. She really works for her clients, and a lot of times people need a consumer advocate on their side when it comes to real estate issues. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Sinclair.
Your phone number, 480-624-2705, 480-624-2705. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Let's talk about what's going on in home buying right now. And I think that there is a major shift in demographics. For years, of course, the baby boom generation has been a big influence on so many different markets, from real estate to the stock market, for example. But now that's starting to change. But the boomers still are, I think, are playing a role in the real estate market.
Oh, definitely. It's just not as big a role. The next big group is Millennials.
But they don't buy homes.
They don't buy homes, but they're starting to, and they're going to be in the near future and beyond. The Millennials are considered age 25 to 34.
Mm-hmm.
They outnumber baby boomers by 5 million. And that's a lot. They're the country's largest generation. And in Arizona alone, the millennial age group purchased the mortgages that in 2016 in Arizona were 25% by millennials and 33% nationally.
Wow.
So that's a big number, and this has really just happened since in the last couple of years of the recovery, because initially, when we had the recession, they couldn't find any jobs.
That's right.
And because people who were experienced were being laid off.
Well, we remember the stories about millennials having to return to the family home, and they're living in the basement now or whatever.
Correct.
Trying to get a job, can't do it. Burdened by student loan debt, among other things. So having a hard time finding a job in their chosen career path, and then burdened by student loan debt. That's a bad way to try and start a family and move into a starter home.
Absolutely true. And that's correct. The lack of jobs, not only at the recession, but the first few years during the recovery, it did create a situation where many of them had to live with their parents. And also, the mortgage market tightened up.
Right.
And so the guidelines were much stricter on who could qualify and under what conditions you could qualify. And so the millennials, if they're just graduating from school or just starting a career, a lot of them don't have any credit or very little credit.
Mm-hmm.
They may not have been in the same line of work for 2 years. Their experience is kind of limited. Plus, also, they may not have had a down payment.
So, let's talk about some of the different issues there. Millennials clearly have been getting jobs. We're seeing the job market has been tightening. There's still some slack in the job market, but the unemployment rate's at 4.9%. It has been basically just over 6 years of steady gains in employment nationwide. In Arizona, we've seen the unemployment rate drop down into the low 5% range. We're still just a little bit above the national average. I think we're at 5.2% here in Arizona, 4.9% national unemployment rate. The millennials are getting jobs now.
Yes, they are. And most of the jobs are in their chosen field. A lot of them have transferred their skills to other fields, and they are looking to buy property, especially if they're making a good income. they feel like they're throwing their money away in rent. The other issue is that rents are rising.
Mhm.
So I guess they feel if they're gonna pay more rent, they might as well put that money into building some equity in property.
At a certain point, there is that basic equation where, and if anybody rents for a serious amount of time and they see the rents start to go up, they start doing the math and realizing that it's gonna be cheaper to buy a house.
Absolutely. The biggest problem with rents increasing is it limits people's ability to save for a down payment.
Right.
And that, when you have little or no down payment, that limits you to FHA loans for the most part, and that limits how much you can borrow. So that means that the millennials and others who need to buy in that price range, that's the lower end of the market, and that's where there's the least supply in Arizona.
Have you found that mortgage lenders have started to embrace millennials more, and has the tight conditions in the mortgage market, have those conditions changed?
There are some programs by conventional lenders that are, in certain circumstances, matching the 3% down from FHA. The problem is those programs are few and far between. It's very, very hard to qualify. But there are more 5% down programs, which is, better. And also, the real estate market is marketing to millennials in terms of condominiums and townhouses, because we have a huge growth in that. And as you know, millennials are less likely to really want to put down roots, and so there's no maintenance on the condominium, those types of things. And and there's more amenities that they don't have to, put a pool in their backyard, those kinds of things.
Right.
Also,
Are you finding that there is that swing to a different type of housing unit that they're looking for, not necessarily the standalone single-family residence?
The millennials, more millennials than other generations are moving into urban areas. And so the urban areas, as you know, the attractive part of living is usually condominium living, as opposed to single-family homes.
Sure.
So it's not that most of the millennials are moving to urban areas, but a higher percentage of millennials than any other age group is moving to urban areas. So they're the ones that are buying the condominiums and townhouses. The millennials that are not moving to urban areas are moving to the edges of the urban areas. And so they don't want to be far out in the suburbs, and they are looking for single-family homes, however.
Okay. So we still have a nice mix then of housing types.
Yeah, and that's good for our economy, because you can't always build single-family homes on certain tracts, and you want to be close to maybe light rail or public transportation.
Right.
And so as a result, you may pick a different kind of property to live in, meaning a condominium versus a single family.
Some of those things, such as light rail here in the valley, that really is a big draw now for real estate, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There are, especially people who come from other urban areas, big cities like Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, LA. They want to be closer to the city. People from LA don't want to drive. And people from New York, a lot of them don't have a car.
Right.
So they want to be near public transportation, and our light rail system is good. It's a great way to get around. We just need it to expand a little bit, so that there's more options of where to go.
We don't think about it sometimes, but I know I have a friend who had originally moved from New York who never got a driver's license out here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would think that would be really hard.
I would think so too, but he seems to do just fine.
He figures it out between the bus and light rail.
Yeah, exactly. So more and more important. Meanwhile, let's look on the other side of the equation. The boomer generation is still a force to be reckoned with, but it's not a matter of first-time home buyers. I would imagine more so that a lot of boomers are looking to downsize.
Yes, they're definitely looking to downsize. However, most of the boomers are not in that lower price range, the under 300,000, under 200,000 range. You know, so, and the millennials are mostly in that category of price range. And so, as you know, the supply is a little bigger in the higher ranges. The other issue is that the boomers, a lot of them are still slightly underwater. And if they're not underwater, they're waiting to sell their house for more than they purchased it for.
Right.
They're not
They're kind of
underwater
break
because,
even.
yeah, they're not underwater because they put money into the house to build equity, you know.
And they want to get some of that equity
And
back out.
yeah, they want to wait it out. But, you know, it's a catch-22 because a bigger home is more expensive to maintain. And, you know, especially if you're in a two-story house, as you age, that can be a problem.
So they're looking to downsize but upgrade.
Downsize and upgrade, yeah. And you know, a lot of our planned communities are perfect in that way. And we have them not just, you know, in the Sun City area, but all over the valley.
Right.
And so, you know, boomers are definitely looking to downsize to a certain degree.
You've worked with many millennials, and
Yes.
Do you find that you need to walk them through the process a little bit?
You know, most of them think, well, it's not that big a deal. People buy and sell real estate here all the time. But I find that they do need to be coached through because they need to understand that when you sign a real estate contract, you can't just change your mind if you feel like it.
Right.
And
Serious stuff.
yeah, and there's some serious consequences. It can be very expensive. So that I really like to walk all my clients through that because they really don't understand every piece of the contract, and it's really important to know what you can and cannot do. And I recommend things like ask for a longer inspection period. If you don't need it, you don't have to use it.
Right.
You know, because if you don't get all your inspections done and the inspection period ends, the seller doesn't have to grant you more time. You know, so and then you don't want to say, well, okay, so I can't do the inspections, probably nothing will happen. That's not a good way to go.
That's not a good way to go. Inspections can reveal a tremendous amount. So, if you have questions about buying or selling real estate, whether you're a millennial or a boomer or some other demographic group, contact Laura Bramnick and she can help you in what is an increasingly tight real estate market here in the Valley of the Sun. 480-624-2705, that's the number for Laura. 480-624-2705, and your website, talkrealestateaz.com, talkrealestateaz.com. And we say this all the time, but many times you can serve as a real estate attorney on the transaction and really provide some real extras when it comes to the negotiations.
Yeah, it's nice also to have my real estate license when I represent people that buy and sell property. It really is value added, and it like we talk about, it may not cost anything, or you're not going to have to pay a realtor and a lawyer, so it's certainly not going to cost more.
Right. Laura, stick around. We've got much more to talk about today. We're talking, of course, with Laura Bramnick from talkrealestateaz.com, and we'll continue in just a moment.